was like this hot girl in his class, and she was like, "Are you all right?" And I'm like, I think I'm bleeding. And I'm like started like touching my skin and like I was sweating. But
You're tripping.
I was tripping. And then I was like,
was she tripping?
She was like, "No, you're fine." And I was like, "Okay." And I don't think that fixed everything, but I remember that moment of being like, I think I'm bleeding. You know, and it's like, no, dude, you're sweating. But I was young and that was weird and
you were on acid.
Yeah.
All right. So we are in Park City, Utah at the Hilton. What's going on?
Just crack. I don't know. I think I'm not used to cracking.
You hurt your hand?
No, I think I'm okay. I just get nervous. When things happen with my hands, I freak out because I play music. So like, I just opened this Liquid Death, which, you know, we're partying here, you know. And my thumb went in the thing, and then I was like, "Oh my God, did I cut my finger open? Can I never play Dobro again?" You know, it's like I just freak out.
Have you ever had a serious finger injury?
No. I mean, not really. No.
I like how much you just jumped, because it would be really, really substantial if you damaged your thumb on a Liquid Death can.
Yeah, but can I sue them? But also like, everyone needs their fingers, dude. I'm not special.
Well, you are special, and I would like to introduce you.
Okay.
His name is Anders Beck.
Hi.
He is the Dobroist. Somebody said slide guitar. I don't know how they could say slide guitar. You're a Dobroist.
It's a lot of things. I play Dobro. I play slide. I slide around on the Dobro.
In the amazing band Greensky Bluegrass.
Yes, sir.
And we are at the Park City Song Summit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been a pleasure. And I've gotten to know Anders a little bit over the last couple of days.
Yeah, we've been hanging. It's been fun.
Has it been overwhelming?
What? Hanging out with you?
Yeah. Has it been overwhelming?
You know,
be honest.
You're a lot, but I like you. Oh, see, look what you did.
Shaw, keep talking.
He's knocking things over here.
It's still recording.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Yeah.
This shit takes a licking.
I'm glad we never did drugs together. Jesus, you know.
It would be a disaster.
Yeah, you know, I think I tried when we talked on the phone before the thing, before this.
Tell me all the impressions, please.
This is like for your listeners, not for other. I guess the whole thing is for your listeners. That's the way this works.
That's
okay,
how it
cool.
works.
Yeah. We talked on the phone, and I was like, I don't like this guy.
Why? What was it about me?
I'm not sure. I think
but I think you might not like a lot of people. Is that possible?
No. Yeah, maybe. I don't know if I like people. Period. No, I think I didn't want to like you because of I don't know. I think I'm like, he's just making cool. He's just like doing something with other people's
lives.
Recovery.
I'm stealing people's lives and exploiting their recovery.
Yeah, maybe
for my own personal gain.
A little bit of that.
It's true. It's 100% true.
It's okay. It's true.
It's true.
No. But then also, I honestly I don't. I was maybe telling you this a little bit last night. I don't talk about my recovery publicly that much for no reason. Like I'm not afraid to or choosing not to, but I just don't. I don't think I do. I think I'm pretty private in general, maybe. And so then I was like, well, I put it on you somehow, like that you're the guy that's making me do this, which is not the case. It's just my weird brain. Like I don't not like you, but for some reason I wanted to take it out on you or something. Anyway, I like you now. We've had some fun.
We've had some good times.
Yeah, man, I like you.
We had IVs today.
Mm-hmm.
How weird was that? Can you please describe that to the Dopey Nation really quickly?
Well, yeah, I mean, it was weird. We went over to there's this little like artist zone where musicians and one podcaster hang out.
He keeps rubbing it in my face that I'm not actually talented here.
That's not true.
He says, "Don't look the talent in the eyes. It rattles them." Anders and I and Anders Osborne and Matt Warren did one of these labs today called the Before and After.
Yes.
And Anders and I are friends with a wonderful man named Keith Fierman who works at Cirque Lodge, which is where Anders got sober.
Yes.
Keith and Cirque Lodge are running the wellness lounge
mm-hmm.
and the 12-step meetings.
Yeah.
And PBS was to shoot the 12-step meetings, and Keith needed bodies in there. But I didn't understand that he needed that.
Okay, yeah. It was weird because we're like getting IVs, and then we're like sort of having an AA meeting, but sort of not. We're just hanging out. but it was supposed to look like an AA meeting for this PBS thing that Keith is doing, where they want to see people. It's like people interacting and talking, and I'm pretty like. I don't think they're using. I hope they're not using any of the audio because we were just being idiots like we always are.
It was as far. It was if it was an AA meeting,
Yeah.
that would be a very strange fellowship. We all had fucking IVs. There's a nurse shooting us all up in the shoulder with B12, and we're talking about not 12-step stuff, but like funny. Like Anders admitted that he'll go to the grocery store and steal
dude.
heirloom tomatoes, but pay the price of a beefsteak tomato.
Dude, why are you blowing up my spot on your podcast?
This is what's going to
This
get.
is why I don't like you.
I went to the store just to be honest, because I didn't say it there. This hotel, I can't believe we're in the same hotel as the room I'm staying in somehow. Somehow it feels like a different place. But there was a grocery store right
Mine's
next
not
door.
filthy like your room probably is.
My room smells bad. It's like embarrassing.
Did it smell bad when you got there?
I don't remember it smelling bad.
That's interesting.
It's not. It's bad. And Anders Osborne was supposed to record in my room, but he's so clean, and I didn't want to put him in that situation, so we didn't. But anyway, there's a grocery store next door, and I went to buy supplies when I first got here, and I bought apples. And I think I picked Honeycrisp apples, but I didn't pay for Honeycrisp apples. I did not.
Well, I don't know why we're high-fiving this.
Because I wanted to make you feel better. Because I don't.
Well, you did this after I
No, I
talked
did it
about my
before.
sins?
I did it before. I didn't want to mention it.
Okay.
I want them
You
to
didn't-
think. I didn't want them to think I was less sober than you.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that whole like. Well, I think I'm doing a service. I don't believe that. Here's a platform I'm willing to die on. Okay.
Nobody's listening to this. No, don't worry about anything.
What do you call it? The self-checkout thing. So we're talking self-checkout. I believe that that's putting good, hardworking individuals out of work. Therefore, if I ring up my heirloom tomatoes as regular tomatoes enough times, they will realize that they're losing money on self-checkout, and they will stop the self-checkout, and they will go back to employing hardworking individuals. So therefore,
You're doing good somehow.
Yeah.
This is like the mentality of an 11-year-old.
Yeah.
That's how I know you're in a touring rock and roll band
Yeah.
for 25 years.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I would leave the dirty tray of food at McDonald's on the table, and I would say to my friends, I don't want to do anyone's job for them. And I wouldn't clean the table. And this is what that sounds
That's
like to me.
not what
It's
that
not
is.
an equivalent.
I mean, I don't want it to be. Does that count?
Anders is the Dobroist in. I this morning I was talking to our mutual friend John Bucati, Dopey legend John Bucati, and I kept saying green grass, blue sky.
Yeah, that's dumb.
I wasn't on purpose.
Oh yeah, okay.
I kept switching it in my mind because
Yeah.
I think I'm borderline dyslexic.
Mm-hmm.
So every time I say it, I get anxious. And the band,
green sky, bluegrass.
yeah, green sky,
Green
bluegrass.
sky is like the opposite of bluegrass. Bluegrass is a music. Green sky is the exact opposite of that.
When I was a kid, I wanted to have a band, and one of the potential band names was the Green Grass Band.
See, that's where your anxiety comes from.
Because of that name
Yeah,
is
yeah.
cemented in my head. I don't want to pussyfoot around everything here. When did you start playing guitar first, or you start doing drugs first?
Guitar.
And how old were you? And you're from a town near King of Prussia, Pennsylvania.
Near King of Prussia.
What's it called?
I grew up in Villanova, Pennsylvania, which is suburbia Philadelphia.
And that's where Jalen Brunson and all those guys played basketball.
People played basketball there. Yes, I lived right near that university.
Are you a Villanova fan?
Not particularly.
Okay. And when did you
I have
start?
nothing against them, but
Well, Villanova is big for Knicks fans. I
Yeah.
didn't know anything about it
Okay,
until
cool.
that.
yeah.
But when did you start playing guitar?
I started playing guitar. I first started playing drums, and I played drums for a while. And then the guy across the hall from my drum teacher was a guitar teacher, and I was like, "Ooh, that looks cool too." So I started playing both, and that was probably around. Drums were probably around like 10 or 11, and then picked up guitar around maybe 13 or 14. And then I remember at one point, his name was Will Stuntebeck. He came over, and I was like, "Hey, dude," and he became a drummer subsequently. But he came over, and I was like, "Hey, check this out. You know what song this is?" And I played the drums for him. I went, "Doom, doom, ch, doom, 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 ch, doom, 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 ch." And he looked at me and he goes, "Dude, that's every song." And I remember my heart sinking.
What song was it?
It was, I think it was supposed to be Where the Streets Have No Names, or With or Without You, something like you too, something like boom boom. Anyway, and he was like, dude, that's every song, and I was like, shit, he's kind of right. And then I realized like guitars play the melody, and not to rip on drummers are badass, but like at the basic level of drumming, it's like kind of every song. And he was right. And I was like, well, I think the next day I stopped playing drums and just went mainly focused on guitar.
Were you good quickly?
I wasn't like great. I don't know. I was good enough. I had like a high school band. I was in jazz band. Holy shit. I was in jazz band in high school, and I got kicked out for smelling like weed. I just remembered this right now.
When did you start smoking weed?
High school, like
right before jazz band practice that day.
Which, the irony of getting kicked out of jazz band for smoking weed, but whatever. I was good at guitar.
What was your high school band name called?
Over Yonder.
Over Yonder. And what kind of music did you play?
It was like jam band. It was like all I listened to was Grateful Dead and Fish growing up.
How did you stumble into jammy world?
I was like a classic rock kid because of my brother's car on the way to school, and I don't know how I got into the Grateful Dead, but I did. Like probably a friend's older brother, and I don't know why I thought it was so cool, but it was so cool. And then so I was lucky enough to be growing up in like the early 90s in like the tri-state area where you could see a lot of Grateful Dead shows, and my parents let me go see the Grateful Dead on the school, like 3 nights in a row on school nights when I was in high school, or maybe even before that, and they let me go to shows because I convinced them that it was all about the music, and it was true actually, but it was like that was kind of probably the beginning of the downfall. But
definitely,
they let me go see Grateful Dead shows when I was like 13 or something.
Wow, that was a huge mistake.
Yeah.
But except you're a very successful guitar player now.
Yeah, I actually said that my mom was at a show recently, and I was like saying thank you in front of the crowd. I was like telling my mom, or was telling the crowd about my parents letting me go see the Grateful Dead when I was young, and how I was like, it was a terrible idea, but actually it worked. It kind of worked out. Like I play music now. Because
you didn't die of drug addiction, it worked out.
Yeah.
And if you had died of drug addiction, it would have been a horrible decision for you to go see the Grateful Dead at that age.
Yeah, it could have gone either way for sure.
Well, there's a lot of casualties. The scene is so crazy because it's like so seductive. The music is so seductive. The kids are so like it's so exciting. Like I grew up in Manhattan, and I grew up not giving a shit about the Grateful Dead. It just wasn't in my world. But when I was, I want to say in 11th grade, my friend was like, do you want to go see the Grateful Dead at Madison Square Garden? And I was like, I don't know. And he's like, well, I was like, can we get acid? And I had never done any drugs. And he goes, yeah, we could get acid. And he had never done it. He had smoked weed.
Right.
And we went to Madison Square Garden in 1991 and got acid and tripped at the Grateful Dead. And I was totally hooked. Just doing that one time.
Yeah.
Where did you see them when you were 13?
Wow, dude, you just reminded me. I hadn't thought about this in a long time. Before I saw the Grateful Dead, I saw Jerry Garcia Band at the Spectrum.
Wow.
Which would have been like 92 or something, right? And I was young, and I ate acid. And I remember, wow, I totally have not thought about this. And I remember being like,
Tell us everything you can remember,
God
please.
damn. Okay, so I was like, I remember going up to this girl that was in my brother's class. Like my older brother wasn't even there because I was cooler at the time or something. And like I remember this girl, there was like this hot girl in his class, and she was like, are you all right? And I'm like, I think I'm bleeding. And I'm like started like touching my skin, and like I was sweating, but
You're tripping.
I was tripping. And then I was like,
Was she tripping?
She was like, no, you're fine. And I was like, okay. And I don't think that fixed everything, but I remember that moment of being like, I think I'm bleeding. And it's like, no, dude, you're sweating. But I was young, and that was weird. And
And you were on acid.
Yeah. Wow. I hadn't remembered that in a long time.
Did you fall in love with the Grateful Dead quickly?
Yeah.
And what was it, do you think?
Man, I think it was the. It's hard to say because I was just talking about the Grateful Dead with some people because I literally a couple hours ago I was playing Grateful Dead music on stage here with like Ross James and Eric Krasno and a bunch of killer musicians, and we were talking about the Dead a little bit, and like I was talking to Anders about it because he, we're saying like what is it about the Grateful Dead that's so cool, and he was sort of saying how it's kind of cooler than current jam bands because they just sort of jam, and we were talking about how there's like melodic structure to the tunes, and there's like, they're a song band. They have great songs, and I don't know if I knew that at the time. I just liked it, but there's something that appealed to my musician's brain that I thought was really cool, and it was partially the improvisational nature of the music and like the ability to just kind of go for it, but also I think that like the songs are killer.
A good portion of the songs are killer. All the Garcia Hunter songs are definitely killer, and the band would go to places, and then just like you have these amazing songs, you have these jams that really go to crazy places, and then you have all of the imagery and the marketing and like the feel, like all that shit plays a part, I think, in a kid's brain. And for me, it's all Jerry, though. It's his voice, it's the songs, and the way he played. And I never really paid any attention to Phil, but the more I listen and the more I can comprehend what's happening, I know that that's kind of the conduit for the jam.
Yeah, it's interesting to consider now because it's like it's I'm talking about it after the fact. Like, I'm thinking about. I love the music they made in the 70s. I wasn't around, but to me that's what the most exciting stuff. Like early Grateful Dead, like when it was like I love 70s Grateful Dead. I love 90s Fish. I love eras of bands that particularly resonate with me. Like, and it's something about like this reckless abandon or something. But Phil was that guy for sure.
I love the reckless abandon of the late 60s, though.
Yeah.
The volume.
Oh, yeah.
And the fucking real recklessness of 67.
Totally. Yeah.
It's like madness. And people don't really like it that much. And I feel like that's the shit that really, like, I like all the cool, groovy country shit, but I like how reckless they were in the late 60s.
Yeah, it was wild, man. And it was, I like that a lot, too.
The other interesting thing to me, like we do this podcast about addiction and recovery, and not every road leads to the Grateful Dead, but there's so much drug influence in the band, and it started out of like the acid tests and hippie weed culture, but then they went down so many rabbit holes of drugs. So I think a lot of us felt compelled to do the same.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about because it was just it was a place of freedom to do, like the shows were a place of freedom to do whatever you wanted. That included drugs. That included like wearing weird clothes and like, whatever it was. It was a home for counterculture, whatever that may be. And even me going to like a private high school, like wanting to wear a tie-dye shirt and have long hair, like I wasn't a weirdo. I was just like, for me, that was my counterculture, and it was nothing strange. It was like
you found a place to belong, and you invested yourself into it.
Yeah. I mean, it's really crazy to think about the legacy of that band, like, especially around like the 60th anniversary and like the Dead and Company stuff. Doesn't interest me very much at all. Like,
the Billy Strings Wharf Rat was pretty crazy.
Oh yeah,
and the jams, the Billy Strings, John Mayer jams, or the Trey John Mayer jams. Like, there's some cool interplay in there.
Yeah, sure.
You don't like it? The Billy Strings Wharf Rat was pretty sweet.
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
But
anyway,
I appreciate. No, please.
No,
you don't want to say it.
Yeah,
I want to hear your opinion.
I bet you do.
I don't like. I like John Mayer, how he plays. I don't want to hear him sing Jerry. I don't want to hear fucking Bob sing Jerry. I'd rather fucking smash my head in the door than hear Bobby sing Jerry. But I'm allowed to say this stuff. I'm not important. You just said you're not that interested in Dead & Company, which is a Anders Beck.
Fuck off.
No,
This will be like a headline. On
this is the headline.
No, it's not a headline.
Well, this show
'cause
is
I'm not
actually-
telling you how I feel.
Tell me how you feel.
No.
Why not?
Because I don't want to.
Okay, we'll circle back to that. I want to know, what's the band called? Yonder?
Over Yonder,
Over Yonder.
my high school band.
What are
Yeah.
you playing?
We're playing Grateful Dead songs, Fish songs. Maybe
For a
like,
second, I had you, and then I
What?
had you there to a great jam band headline. And Nugs would go crazy. Anyway, fucking Over Yonder, and what kind of songs were you playing?
We were covering Grateful Dead and Fish, and we were playing in my friend Will's basement and rehearsing there, and then we would play some shows and maybe a couple original material, maybe like 2 original songs, mostly just covering songs we wanted to play, and it was just like classic garage band.
Awesome. And stretching out and jamming.
I don't even know.
Were you playing lead guitar?
I think there was two of us were playing guitar, and it was sort of like both lead. The other guy was better. Alex Leach was his name. He was better.
What happened to him?
I'm not sure.
Is he in I don't know, make it
He
stupid.
changed his name to John Mayer.
Yeah, he's in Dead & Company.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Fucking, were you a dedicated stoner at that point?
Yeah, totally. I was like an undercover stoner though. I was an athlete and a stoner.
What was your sport?
I was a lacrosse player.
Wow.
I won 2 state championships at
way.
high school level in Pennsylvania, which was like a big deal. That's like they take that sport seriously there.
That's a violent sport? Is there a lot of brawls in lacrosse?
No, but it's pretty violent. You like hit people with sticks, and it was yeah. So I was like I played sports and was also a stoner. I really enjoyed kind of teetering the line of trying to be everything, which is interesting, 'cause I think I still do that. I'm like, want to be friends with everybody, like want to be in every cool club, whatever it is, like.
That's addict stuff. That's just more.
That's just human.
Right.
As much it's so funny because we always talk about like, oh, that's addict. People are like, oh, that's the addict brain. And I'm sort of like, I often think to myself, yeah, it's also just human nature. Like, I often think like we blame all this stuff and we're like, oh yeah, we're addicts. We want more. And it's like, well, doesn't everybody kind of? I don't know. I'm no authority.
Well, I think that's a really, really interesting thought that I don't think I've ever thought about. Because the human brain wants to be loved, wants to feel safe, wants to be accepted, and the addict brain is just the human brain that wants more. So it's like the human needs pushed forward, amplified.
Yeah, I mean maybe that's it, and maybe it's. Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. And I also think like. We're talking about, because we're in recovery, we have like deep conversations about this stuff, and therefore we're because we're the ones maybe talking about it in a group full of men, we're like, that's the addict thing, and it's like, well, maybe it's everybody, but they're just sitting there watching football instead,
Right.
like, or whatever.
I think that's a great question. Dopey Nation, what is your take? Is it human or is it addict? And Anders, lean forward a little bit so you're in the light.
Dude, I'm comfy.
So you're in the sunlight of the spirit. Now, you remind me, like, you remember the movie Dazed and Confused?
Yeah.
Randall Pink Floyd was the star quarterback and the stoner. And
I was not the star of the team, for sure.
Could you relate to Randall Pink Floyd?
I think I wanted to be everybody in that movie, but I mean, I was not the star. I was like, yeah, I was just on the team.
And they won the states.
They did.
And what's your music thing happening?
At that point, I'm like playing guitar, and like that's my kind of outlet for being creative and like cool, and I thought playing guitar was like my way of being cool. And it sounds cliche, but it's like totally like, Jimmy Buffett says he started playing guitar to get laid, and like that's kind of like, I thought guitar, it'd be great to be able to play some songs for people and sing to them and stuff. But music was like my outlet more than sports, for sure. And I love to sit around and just play guitar and learn songs. And yeah, I always thought music is really cool. I don't know what else to say.
Well, it's seductive, and when I was a kid, I didn't pick up a guitar until I was 21 or something, I started playing harmonica in high school, and I joined a ska band, and we played shows in Manhattan, and it was so fun to just be in something, you know, but then also it feels so good to play music.
Yeah, totally. It's so weird. Music, like, it's hard for me to think about back, like, what it was like playing in high school, because it's come so far from then. You know, like, the things I do now, playing shows, is so cool.
It's so cool what you do.
Yeah.
It's like he's this amazing dobro player, and there's a dobro company, a guitar company called Beard, that makes him a special dobro. and you get on these stages with these world-class musicians, the highest level, and when you trace it back to high school, you're like, yeah, Over Yonder wasn't that great. It wasn't that great. You're like, when do you think you start fucking getting good?
Well, I don't think I was ever a good guitar player. When I started playing dobro, which is like, in case you don't know, it's like this out there, listeners. It's like this slide guitar thing. It like looks kind of like a guitar, except you play it flat, and there's like a slide in my left hand, and then I've got some picks on my right hand. It's like it's like a bluegrassy thing. It's a country thing, but it's like at its roots, it's like a emotional slide instrument. Like you can sing on the thing. That is why I love it. Anyway.
When's the first time you played dobro?
I was at the Telluride Bluegrass Festival, and I heard, and I had started playing bluegrass guitar with some friends in Durango, Colorado, where I lived. And
when did you get to Durango, though?
That would be about the year 2000, 2001.
So what happened? Hold on. We lost you in high school lacrosse. What happened after that? I want to trace your drug addiction and your music career concurrently, because you actually you're a big deal, Anders Beck. You might not know this, but I think you're a big deal, and I want to trace how you became Anders Beck.
Okay. This is going to be a long... Anyway, so I went to school in Colorado, the Colorado College in Colorado Springs, which is a fine liberal arts institution. I played, and I started playing more music there.
And you got into bluegrass then?
Yeah, I started getting into bluegrass.
Through Jerry?
Yeah, totally.
Like Old and in the Way. And
yeah, the typical route, which is like, oh, Old in the Way. And then you're like, what's this? And then you hear those songs, and you're like, what are these songs? And then all of a sudden you're back to Bill Monroe and Earl Scruggs, and you're like literally learning all about the old bluegrass stuff. And then you learn about David Grisman, who was in the band Old in the Way with Jerry. And then you learn about Tony Rice and all these guys Grisman was playing with, and all of a sudden you're at Bela Fleck and Sam Bush and Jerry Douglas, who's the best dobro player in the world. And all these things just like come at you like a million miles an hour. And I was at the Telluride Bluegrass Festival, and I didn't really know what a dobro was until I walked by a workshop where there was like a dobro workshop, and it was Jerry Douglas, who's like...
He was there.
And a bunch of Sally Van Meter, guy named Rob Ikes, a bunch of killer musicians, dobro players. And I was like, whoa, that's it. Because I was struggling with bluegrass guitar, like the flat picking was hard for me. And I liked to be an electric guitar player, but I liked bluegrass. And then I realized dobro was like the electric guitar of acoustic music, kind of. Like
it was like the electric instrument.
Yeah, it's got like sustain, you know, and like
a lot of emotion.
Yeah. And I was like, wow, I want to do that. And I went back to Durango the next day and bought a dobro.
How was your flat picking before that?
I mean, I was a mediocre electric guitar player, and I was not a very good bluegrass flat picking guitar player.
To be good, you have to be fucking
it's insane.
great.
Those guys
it's
are
like
insane.
Crazy.
Yeah. So I started playing dobro, and like literally just started playing like 6 hours a day, and was into it. And then, you know, that's when I think I became a good musician, and I was like sort of surrounding myself with killer musicians and learning, and just like a musical sponge, you know, because now I've got a new instrument to learn on, and a new genre with like, you know, the bluegrass world is full of like really, really talented musicians that it's like the technical proficiency.
The virtuosity is fucking at it.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, totally. It's wild.
We go to Gray Fox here and there, and
Mm-hmm.
I cannot believe what I hear and see. And but now you're in this world.
Yeah,
but you're at that point, you're what, 20 years old, 21?
20-something, 22, 25.
Are there any seeds of alcoholism or drug addiction?
Yeah.
What are they?
Just drinking 6 beers every day.
Every day.
I mean, probably. I think so. You know, it was like, but then it was like the microbrewery era beginning in Colorado mountain towns, and it's like, you know, IPAs
right.
and like, and yeah, it was just like that's just what you did at the end of the day was get a 6-pack and, you know, smoke a bunch of weed and yeah.
Do you have a band then?
Uh-huh.
What was your band then?
There was a couple Durango bands. Let's see, there was, I think one of them was Strung Like a Horse.
Wow.
Strung Like a Horse.
Yeah,
which I think there's probably 10 bluegrass bands that have been named that because it's a great name. Or whatever.
But why? What's Strung Like a Horse? All I hear is like strung out on heroin. What is the other piece of Strung Like a Horse?
Hung Like a Horse.
Right, Hung Like a Horse.
You know, like talking about dicks and
yeah,
stuff.
like big horse cocks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
Okay,
strong,
so you're in like...
Strung, there's stringed instruments. That was the joke.
Right, I get that. Okay.
You just don't think it's funny.
The joke I was going to make today, fucking, I'm going to tell the joke really quickly.
Oh, God, no,
it's
me. So bad.
It's me. The lab is me.
I'm sorry.
Anders Beck,
to your listeners.
Anders Osborne, and Matt Warren. And my big plan was to start the thing by saying, all right, everybody, here we have Anders Osborne, Anders Beck, and Anders Warren. And I told you the joke, and you said, that's funny.
No, I said, don't do that.
That's not what you said. You laughed at first. You were like, that's funny. And then I said, I'm not going to do it. And you were like, whoosh, good.
Wow.
Anyway.
Your perception of what happened is, yeah.
Tell me what really happened.
I was like, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
You have to admit the lab went pretty good, though.
Yes, absolutely.
Better than you thought?
No, I thought it was going to go well the whole time, but you were worried that it wouldn't. So I was just like, relax, it's going to be fine.
I wasn't worried that it wouldn't. I was worried that you weren't going to be down to play the Dobro.
You were like, you thought that you had to put like effort into it.
I put a lot of, that's why it was good. Because
it would have been good without your effort.
No way.
Yes.
Anyway, so fucking Strung Like a Horse. I want to know this.
But then I got a real band, and it was called the Broke Mountain Bluegrass Band.
Nice.
And it was a bunch of guys that have all gone on to be in big acoustic bands. Like myself turned out to be like one of the greatest farm teams in like bluegrass world. And so like, because I joined with Greensky. Andy Thorne was in this band. He's in Leftover Salmon now, which is a killer band. Travis Book is in the infamous String Dusters. John Stickley is a sick guitar player in his own band, and all these guys that we were just young kids playing together in this band.
You remember that crazy guy I interviewed the other day who eats the food?
Yeah.
He did the art for the infamous String Dusters Greatest Hits record.
That guy?
Yeah.
He did?
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Wow.
Anyway, what I want to know, you're a fucking lacrosse player in high school, growing your hair, wearing tie-dye, and then 6 years later, you're in a virtuoso bluegrass band, probably professional hippie in Durango at that point. Was it gradual, or was it like, boom, I am this thing now?
Well, no, I made a concerted effort to be, to decide that music was going to be the thing. Like, I was also like the executive director of an environmental group in Durango at the time, like, and working in a restaurant and working at a music store and all these things. And then like, there was a certain point when it's like, wow, I could give it a shot to be a professional touring musician. And I asked some of the older guys that I trusted, like, should I do this? Like, is this crazy to try and make a band work and see if it hits or whatever, that, you know, if I can have a career in this? And they were all like, no, dude, do it now. You're young. Try it. You can always come back to this other stuff. And so I did. I tried that. And it ended up, and so like the Broke Mountain Bluegrass Band didn't really work. We had success. And then we all started splintering off into other things. I was in this other band called the Wayward Sons, WAYWORD, Wayward Sons. And we toured with that for a while. And some of the guys didn't feel like being on the road was, it just wasn't sustainable and didn't work. Let's just put it that way. And then I could have been kind of done with it at that point. That could have been my signal to be like, all right, get a real job. But I started thinking about bands that I could potentially join that are already existing, and my criteria was like, had to be like killer songs, killer songwriters, good musicians, and people that I could actually hang out with. And Greensky was at the top of that list.
And where were they then?
They were Michigan band.
And how did you know them? You played gigs with them?
We had played some gigs together and hung out at a festival or two. And so I ended up like literally writing a email saying like, hey guys, I like basically trying to sell myself to them, saying like, hey, I think that
you guys could really use a Dobro player.
I mean, it's sort of like, it's kinda, but also being like, you know, I think it would be cool for all of us. I think that there's like you need one more instrument to make it really hit, you know. And they were like achieving some success. They had won like the Telluride band bluegrass band contest and things like that, and so we did like a little trial run where I jumped in their van and we did a couple weeks of shows, which was a small run. Which was a small run back then, was like 3 weeks of shows every night. You know, like it was.
That's crazy.
It was insane. And then so we did like the trial run, and it was awesome.
What were the shows like? Like how big were the clubs?
Bar gigs, I think. You know, maybe like 200 people would have been like the biggest show, maybe.
And what was the lifestyle like?
Living in a van together, 5, 6 of us maybe, like 5 of us and a sound guy. Sharing hotel rooms.
And what was like the drug addiction, alcohol level at that point?
Just tons of booze and beer.
Everybody, or were you worse than everybody else? Okay.
And smoking weed all day. I think I actually stopped smoking weed like pretty early on, because I had to stop for like I got a DUI, and then I had to like.
What was the DUI?
I have no idea. It was in Durango. I was just
drunk.
Yeah, I was drunk driving. But like back then, it sounds terrible, I know, but like I felt like you could.
I think a lot of people in our audience have DUIs. Don't worry.
Yeah, but you could like drive. I just feel like driving drunk was like just what you did back then, and obviously it was just what I did. But it's sketchy to say, and it sucks, and it was, you know, but it was like the kind of thing back then in that town, like the cop would take you home after he arrested you, you know, and then
tuck you in at night,
kinda, and then be like, yeah, show up at jail at some point, you know, like it was a small town, but no, we were, you know, we're essentially the band Greensky's getting paid in like, you know, beer. Here's $500 and all you can drink, and that was a good night for us, you know, and the band was doing pretty well. It was like, you know, we had a couple albums out and people were coming to see the band, and but like we have been doing this together since it was 5 of us in a van playing like almost 200 shows a year, you know.
Do you remember like what was the biggest first big break for Greensky? What do you think of the name of the Greengrass Band? Not a good name for a
Green
band.
Sky, you mean?
No, I mean the band that I wanted to do.
Oh, the Greengrass Band?
Yeah, and the logo was going to be like lines of grass, and then it says the Greengrass Band underneath.
I think it's genius, man.
Do you think if we hit it big, then your band wouldn't exist?
Yeah.
If the Greengrass Band had happened?
You could have changed history.
I know. It's
yeah,
amazing.
and you could be like, the grass is always greener, you know.
You do that now, though.
You had the whole, what? You had the whole, yeah.
I had it all under control until you guys came up.
Yeah.
So
your reunion is gonna.
We never even had a band. I had a logo.
All the money's in the reunion tours. The biggest. It's interesting. It's interesting to think about what was a big break. Like we made a couple albums that like kind of gained traction, and like we were sort of on the coattails of some of the other bands like the Yonder Mountain String Band and like Railroad Earth and String Cheese and Leftover Salmon to a lesser extent, but we would go on tour with those guys, and like we were young and hungry, and we were like shredding and playing hard, and like we were like it was like it had a rock and roll attitude, and people just started to dig it, and like, you know, eventually we started like playing places like, you know, going from bars to going to like the Fox Theater in Boulder, and like moving into small theaters, and like and you know, there's a lot of evolution of the band in that time, because you know, we went from being like a bluegrass band that plays around a single microphone, like the classic bluegrass shit, to like, you know, I remember the first time I brought a pedal board to the show, and people were like, the guys are like, what the hell is that? And then like within a couple of months, we all have got pedal boards and plugged in and like rock and roll, and it was like, you know.
Well, I walked in here and I saw a case full of pedals, and I was like, "Is that all the band's pedals?" And Anders said, "Well, we're like a psychedelic rock and roll band that happens to be a bluegrass band." How important was psychedelia to you in general? Like, were you taking a lot of psychedelics at any point?
Not really. There was like a period in like 1996 when I saw like every Fish show that year, like every single one, and we were driving around the country. My brother and I, my friend Ed Leach, and we were driving around the country seeing Fish.
Ed Leach was the better guitar player.
No, that was Alex Leach.
Is his brother Ed?
No relation.
No relation.
Yeah.
All right, keep going.
And we were selling T-shirts and grilled cheeses and going to see every Fish show, driving around in a Ford Bronco too, and we would eat a fair amount of psychedelics. But I sort of like related like I think I did. Let's put it this way: I think I did too many psychedelics in crowds of people, and therefore I was like, I don't think I like this. You know, it got weird. You know,
Definitely.
I remember like. There's just some weird shit. Like I remember this Fish show in Florida where I was like ended up walking around the concourse because like it was at the University of Florida, like Gainesville or something, and like I'm pretty sure that this really happened. This like frat bro who was at the show was like saw me, this hippie, and was like, "I'm gonna kill you." Right? I think this really happened.
I love these kinds of stuff.
I think this really happened, but then I was like, I gotta get out of here. So I just started walking around, and like I'm pretty sure Fish was playing Maze, like, you know, and it's like never get out of this maze. And I'm like walking around this place, and I like, and that's what psychedelics, like crowds and psychedelics and bad weird shit like that happening. And I remember this guy, I remember trying to leave the auditorium and me being like, I gotta get out of here, I'm leaving. And this one security guard, I was like, is this the way out? And he goes, hey. Yeah, you can go out this door, but you got to understand, if you go out, you can't come back in. And it was like this, somehow
deep
it was the
thing.
most like,
right.
It was like, you know, he might as well have been the Buddha. And I was like, whoa, thanks, man. You know? And then I ended up walking around the concourse for another 2 hours or whatever. But like.
That is a very deep statement, though.
Kind of.
It really is.
Or not. Or he just said like, dude, you don't want to go out there. But so like, yeah, so I sort of ended up equating psychedelics with concerts and big crowds, and didn't really end up liking them that much. It sort of became like I can go to shows, and I was having enough flashbacks that I didn't need to eat drugs anymore at the shows.
Flashbacks, right?
Yeah, you know,
so like, did you ever enjoy psychedelics with your pedals and in crazy psychedelic jam kind of situations?
No, a little bit, but not like we were never like the five of us eating acid and going to play a show, you know, like the Grateful Dead in the 60s. We never really did that.
It was more like drinking and channeling the psychedelic experience.
Yeah, it was more like, you know, yeah, it was more like cerebral, like brain, you know, trying to create the music we love.
Explorations in this kind of music.
Yeah.
And when does Coke show up?
I'm not sure what year it would have been, but like, you know, I remember saying that I would never do Coke because I sort of knew that I would like it so much, you know, and I was like, that's not for me. I'm gonna love that. And then one day I just decided to try it, you know. I remember there was a moment at this festival called the Northwest String Summit where we would play all night in the campground and just jam, and everyone would play. We would just play till the sunrise. And I remember this moment when it was like this killer jam with a bunch of people, and then all of a sudden, like, the jam got really bad, and everyone that was around hanging out, it started to look like The Walking Dead. Like, everyone just looked like falling over and stuff. And I was like, what happened? Everyone just got really drunk all of a sudden at the same time. Like, and then someone goes, no, they just ran out of Coke.
Wow.
And I was like, holy shit. And I was like, so you're telling me that this stuff is the antidote to alcohol? Hell yeah, brother.
And you were like, this is for me.
Well, I was like, that sounds helpful, you know?
And do you remember like when you first started doing it regularly?
No, not particularly.
Did you toured with it or no? Or you just get it here and there?
Started here and there, and then, then at a certain point, always had it in my pocket.
Always.
Eventually, yeah. Yeah.
I want to hear more about the rise of the band and then the rise of the alcoholism and addiction.
I don't know. The band got big. Like over, it was a sustained rise, which I think is why we have we built our fan base kind of like slowly. There wasn't like a hit song or anything, right? It was like, a couple people at a time, and like you go. Our theory was you go, if you go play a show in some town and there's 500 people there, or let's say there's 300 people there, and you play the most badass show you can, those people are gonna tell their two friends.
Oh my God, this band is so fucking sick.
Yeah, and the next time we go back to that town, there's gonna be 900 people or whatever, and it's like it's an organic build, and it worked. And then all of a sudden we're, opening for bands at Red Rocks, and we're playing at Red Rocks.
Like who are you opening for at Red Rocks?
The first time we opened for, I think, Railroad Earth and Galactic.
Right.
And then.
And you're getting into like a real level in the jam band scene.
Yeah, and we're like, and our production is growing into a cool thing, and it's like, we sound, by this time we like sound like a big band. We can play, we can go play in a theater after a reggae band or after
whoever
Humphreys McGee. We can play the next night, and you're not like, oh, this is some little bluegrass band. Like we're powerful, which I think was a big deal, and we worked really hard to get to that point, like sonically and also musically.
And are you like feeling proud?
Yeah. There were some moments when it was like really taking off, and like we were playing 3 nights at Red Rocks, and like that kind of made us like the biggest bluegrass band in the world or something, which isn't like a huge thing.
But it is.
But it is.
It isn't, but it is.
You're right, but like no one had really ever done that before, and it's like.
How cool is playing Red Rocks? Can you describe it to us, please? Because none of us have. I bet maybe there's. If anyone in the audience has ever played Red Rocks, please write an email to dopeypodcast@gmail.com. And now, please tell us what it's like to play Red Rocks.
It's super cool. I mean, it was my dream. It was my dream venue. I mean, I saw Fish there in '96. And I remember saying to my brother, literally, I want to do that when I grow up. I remember saying that. And then fast forward, whatever, 10, 15, I don't know. Fast forward some years, and we're doing it. And that's an amazing feeling, right? And I'm also eventually, like, we're playing there and I'm blacking out every night and staying up all night for the next show, and like, so this is kind of like, for me, get back to your question, which is playing Red Rocks for me is like, it was the pinnacle, it was the goal. And then to do that is special, but it all felt normal, like our rise was really organic to me, and it felt like it was just the trajectory, and it was like, of course that's what we're doing.
Well, you remember today at the lab where Anders was saying how you can get everything you want. You can, and he was talking about millions of dollars and mansions and this and that, but you're never gonna be satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
And you had always wanted to play Red Rocks, and you were,
mm-hmm.
and maybe are, the biggest bluegrass band in the world, which is pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, we were for a little bit.
Why? Who's bigger than you now?
Billy Strings.
But is he really a bluegrass band?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's more bluegrass than us.
All right, so Billy Strings.
but he's also our little brother, which is like, I'm so proud of him. It's so cool.
It's
like,
so cool.
Yeah. But for a little bit, it was like we had the world in the palm of our hands, and it's like all the cliche shit. But it felt great, and we felt invincible, and we were also like playing great music, writing great music. But like there is that feeling of like invincibility, where it's like, oh, we can order 2 bottles. We can order 2 or 3 bottles of tequila on the rider instead of 1. Sweet. We can get whatever we want.
And you also like did the dream. So once you do the dream, are you like, we've arrived? Is it the we've arrived feeling? And that's when it's like crazy escalation, or not so much?
I'm not sure. I mean, I suppose so. You know, I don't.
It wasn't that clear though.
Yeah, it wasn't like the VH1 behind the music thing when it's like, and then
the third night of Red Rocks.
Yeah,
Anders
they finally
Beck,
ordered an 8-ball.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
it wasn't like that. But we were, you know, through the whole thing, it's still just 5 dudes playing music.
But in the jam band world, and this is my fantasy because I don't really know what happens. I imagine, I do know, like, there's a shit ton of drug addicts in the jam band world. There's a shit ton of people in the crowd selling drugs, doing drugs, and all they really want, besides to hear the music and have a good time and be with each other, is to be close to the band. And I know that Fish and you know, the Grateful Dead and the history of rock and roll, people in the crowd who do drugs bring drugs to the band.
Yeah.
Was that a phenomenon you had to deal with?
Totally.
So what's that like?
Awesome. You know, at the time it was awesome.
Anders, man, I got this really good.
I mean,
Like,
and it was. Yeah.
Was it just Coke they would bring you? Would they bring you? I got some Nepalese temple ball hash, man.
Yeah, that too.
They got the opium. Did they ever bring the opium?
Nobody ever brought us opium, I don't think.
I got the real opium, man.
Opium was.
I never got the opium. I got the sopium.
I had some real opium once for a little while. And it was cool. That was yeah.
Who brought you
that shit makes you want to be a drug addict.
Was it some?
Still.
Was it
no,
some
this
hippie?
this was like in high school or something.
We were touring Tibet, and then the monk showed up. Yo, man,
but like that's I've never done like heroin or anything, but like opium.
It's pretty close.
Yeah, but I remember like that feeling of being like, yeah, I get it. This feels good.
Did you smoke it in the long pipe?
It was
a line down?
just like a regular. I think it was like a shitty metal pipe.
Did you smoke opium in a chillum? Did you smoke a lot of chillums in your day?
I had a great chillum. I buried it in British Columbia though, and I found because we were across the border. I crossed the border with it accidentally, and then I couldn't come back across the border. It was a good chillum.
You buried it?
Yeah, I buried it, and I found there's like a little. I made a map of where it was buried, and I was like moving a couple years ago or whatever, and I found this map. It's literally a scrap of paper with like 2 lines drawn on it and an X. And
Do you think you could follow this map and find El
There's
Chillum?
no way.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So what kind of drugs are the hippies bringing you guys? And how much of a hippie were you?
Oh, when the band was doing that?
Yeah.
Not
just the same kind of thing.
Yeah, no, we're like trying to, we're not hip, not
stylish
really,
hippies.
Yeah, like yeah, exactly. Trying to just look nice and
right.
Because there's a part of us that wants to be like, man, maybe we're doing this well. Maybe we're doing so well that maybe the real music world would accept us. And maybe they'll say that, well, Greensky Bluegrass is actually cool. Maybe we'll put them on late night television, And so like we're trying to like maybe put a nice shirt on to play a show, but at the end of the day, that didn't happen.
It didn't happen yet.
It didn't happen yet.
You could still do that.
Oh, absolutely.
You could still do it. So, what was I asking about drugs?
Coke.
Just mostly coke.
Coke, I mean Molly, but Coke.
Did you do a lot of ecstasy in those days?
I wouldn't say a lot. I mean, yeah, I've certainly enjoyed some, but like, it was more. It didn't seem like worth like buying it or whatever. If it was around, yeah, sure.
If I was in a band, like I was never in like a hippie band, and I really wish I had experienced it, but I would have been dead. I would have done every drug they brought me, and like I would have wanted to hear about every description of every drug and super clean Molly and fucking no ketamine. Nobody's bringing you ketamine and fucking.
I always thought that was kind of dumb.
Sure.
Just the idea that it was like, what is it, like a horse tranquilizer or elephant? Yeah, and then so I'm like, that just doesn't sound appealing to me. Like, you know what I'm gonna do? This horse tranquilizer. That just never, that like line of thinking to me. It was enough. Like I never wanted to be a drug addict. So like that line of separation of saying like, I'm not gonna do that. That's, you can get that at the veterinarian's office. I'm not into it.
And you weren't even like smoking a lot of weed at the time.
Mm-mm.
You were just doing coke and drinking. And the drinking, I'm imagining, was prodigious.
Oh yeah, a lot. Like tons of just
And are you ever saying when you black out at a Red Rock show,
Mm-hmm.
are you like, oh fuck, this might be a thing?
No.
No, because you guys are a fucking successful touring psychedelic rock and roll bluegrass
Yeah.
group, and you're supposed to get drunk and get high.
Yeah, it was like the real issue, as I see it, was like we had something worth celebrating. Like we were fucking killing it. We still are, but like when you first start killing it and you're playing like big theaters and headlining festivals and stuff, there's something to celebrate, and it's awesome. Now the issue, as I see it, is that the celebration becomes more important than the thing that you're celebrating.
It eclipses
Yeah.
the show is a celebration for everybody that goes.
Yeah, but then for us, it's like, well, that was amazing. Let's party after the show, and the party after the show becomes more important, or eclipses it.
Last night you played a pretty big show here. There's a lot of people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was in the lobby with Cecilia, and you come in and you're like pretty amped up,
Mm-hmm.
and you were like, you had energy, and it's like you were like, it's kind of hard to come down off this feeling. And historically in rock and roll, like that's where people fucking used, because it's
totally.
like there's so much energy.
Yeah.
What are you supposed to do afterwards?
Yeah, it was like, that was amazing. Let's go party, or whatever. And yeah, it's
Talk about that phenomenon a little bit, please.
which way? What do you mean?
The ecstasy, and not the drug, but the ecstasy of playing the highest level, and then what happens when you're done.
Yeah.
Because I mean, this is how pathetic I am. After we did our lab, I felt like that. And
That's cute.
But it's but it's a small scale of that.
Yeah.
Because you've done this thing, and now what?
No, I hear you, and I felt great after that lab too, for what it's worth, because it was cool. But yeah, there's something about, like, okay, so like usually we finish a show and there's like 1,000 people or 2,000 or whatever cheering and like giving you adoration or whatever
Love, energy,
whatever the right word is,
adoration,
yeah.
sure.
And like I don't know if that's the right word, but yeah, energy, love. You chose better words.
But there's adoration in there.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Positive.
I get nervous when I talk about this, because I'm like, I don't want to sound like, I'm nervous about sounding like a douche, so
you play in front of thousands of people.
But there's an energy transfer that occurs at a show, right? And I love the fact that happens when we're playing music. Like I'll be playing and something will happen, and like I can feel the crowd like react to that, and that's the coolest thing in the world. Like I'll play something cool, or like a jam will get a certain way, and like the whole room like lifts, and that's amazing. And when that happens, it's like it's like an intense emotional thing. And then like at the end of a show, there's this big huge reaction, and people want to hear. There's like an encore thing, and we come back on stage, and you feel great, and then it's over. And you go backstage, you're in this little room, and like it's just me and my bros. We're hanging, and it's like you're buzzing, like.
So what do you do with the buzz?
Yeah, I mean, historically,
you drink
a lot, and then and like try. I don't know. I guess I assume I'm like, a good way to put it is probably like I'm kind of chasing the natural buzz that just happened from the crowd, like, because that goes away so quickly, and I'm like, I want to feel good again, or like what it's like all of a sudden it's gone.
I need to keep this going.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it, and I haven't really thought about it too much. So I'm trying to wrap my brain around it, but I think that's it. It's like, cool, let's keep this feeling going, this ecstasy,
And how much trouble does that get you into?
Not that much, really. I mean, like, enough.
What's your tell the story?
I don't know if I can.
Yes, you can.
But what?
Nobody cares. No.
Let's make up a name. Let's make up a name because it's better with the name because it's to physically do the
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
How about okay, let's say
How about Ronnie Wexler?
wait, who's Ronnie Wexler?
I don't know.
I feel like it's someone's name.
I'm sure it is, but I don't know anyone. I know Ronnie Cycli was a center for the Miami Heat, and I don't know Wexler. I don't know Ronnie Wexler. I made it up.
Okay, sorry, Ronnie Wexler, if you're a real person.
Do you want to use a person from my high school? How about Danny Garibaldi?
Danny Garibaldi?
He's a lawyer, Trumpy lawyer.
Okay, yeah, cool.
Okay.
All right, so
I really love Danny Garibaldi, but you can use his name.
but he
It's
won't mind.
perfect.
He's a lawyer. He could
Yeah.
sue me.
He's never gonna hear this.
Okay.
And you're not talking about Danny Garibaldi. It's a famous guitar player that we're calling Danny Garibaldi,
Okay,
not
got
to
it.
be confused with
Got
the
it.
attorney
Got it.
Danny Garibaldi
Correct.
who voted
not
for
to
Trump.
be confused with the attorney. Anyway, so a long time ago, some of my friends were they had this opportunity to open for Danny Garibaldi and his brother, and
Steve Garibaldi.
yeah, they called the brother. They called the band Garibaldi, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Anyway, so then like that band had they were kind of like a drug band, and my friends were opening for them, and they were so psyched. They were like, hopefully we can do Blow with
Danny
with Garibaldi.
Yeah.
And so they were like, okay, cool. And then they were like, hey man, could we come over? You want to do some coke? And Danny was like, yeah. And they were like psyched to do Blow with Danny, and Danny comes over to like the whatever little room they're in, and he's like looks at the plate with the lines on it, and he looks them both in the eye and goes, I'm sorry guys, and just clears the plate like huge nostrils, like just clears the whole plate, says I'm sorry first, walks away, and my friends were like, wow, that was so cool.
What was your friend's band? Can you not say that either?
I shouldn't.
Okay.
But anyway.
Was it Mo?
No.
Okay, keep going.
No.
Was it The Slip?
No. And so
Did you ever hear The Slip?
Yeah.
They were good.
Yeah, cool band.
They were really good.
Yeah. And so then there became that story got turned into a bigger story where it's like they got Danny Garibaldi'd. That his name became the verb to clear the plate of someone else's drugs, right? So they got Danny Garibaldi. Now later, fast forward like 15 years, and we're playing a show. Greensky's playing a show in a crosstown. Garibaldi's playing, and the promoter's like, "Oh, we could go over there. Their show's over, but Danny said you guys should come over and hang." So we're like,
which is pretty fucking cool.
Which is cool, yeah. We felt cool. We're like, yeah, let's go hang out with Danny Garibaldi. Which I love saying this word, by the way. And so we get there, and we go in like the back door. It feels so cool, like VIP is shit. And we walk in, and sure enough, there's Danny Garibaldi with a plate of cocaine. And I think to myself, oh my God, this is it. I can Danny Garibaldi. And it was like, and I was like, I would be a legend to about 10 people that know this phrase, his name as the phrase. And I was like looking at this plate, and I'm like, do it. But then I was like, but then Danny would hate me.
Danny wouldn't like you.
Danny wouldn't like me. All the drugs would be gone, and I'd be high as shit and have to run out the door. But I was like, I had this moment of being like, do it, Danny Garibaldi, do it, and I wimped out. And that's like one of the things.
One of your regrets.
It's one of my main regrets. Like I'm gonna do a amends to myself on that one.
I think that could be your first amends.
Yeah.
Now, at that point in your career, like, what's Greensky doing, and where's your addiction? Like, how much coke are you doing at that point?
At that point, I don't know. Like, it was pretty recreational. It always felt recreational.
Until, like, when does it start getting not recreational?
I mean, I don't know. Like, I think I'm not good with like years or timelines or anything, but it got, it got to a point where we would talk about, it would come up, and there would be like emails and stuff, and
what kind of emails?
just being like, hey, things are like out of hand. This is not,
Were you worse than the other people in the band?
Yes.
And they had shit to say to you?
Yes.
In email form?
Yes.
Would they talk to you about it in person?
Yeah, I think it was more like, this is a problem, therefore we have to treat it like a thing that's not just like, hey, bro, chill out.
But it wouldn't be like you're on tour and you got an email. It would be like at the end of the tour.
Yeah. Or the start of the next one, being like, let's try and, but it'd all be really positive. Like, let's try and, let's like really focus on the music and kick some ass and not do drugs all night.
Because like
guys, it would be like right guys, but it'd be like they're talking.
Implied,
They're
they're
talking to
talking
me.
about
Yeah, and so like, but I blew through all the stop signs. Like I was like, yeah, totally, and just like,
well,
got secretive or whatever,
It's like the bands that you loved,
Mm-hmm.
bands like Grateful Dead,
Mm-hmm.
Fish, where drug addiction was a huge part of the band. It kills Jerry,
Mm-hmm.
fucking kills a string of keyboard players. Trey gets strung out, has to stop touring, and then all of the other notable bands that we all know
Yeah,
about, all
totally.
the jazz musicians that drugs destroyed.
Yeah.
And for some reason, you don't connect the dots like that. You're in that line in the dangerous way.
No, not really. I know I was invincible, and no, it's just I mean, this is when you get this now. We're kind of starting to talk about addiction, right? Where it's like, no, I couldn't. I didn't think it was like that. I wasn't like those guys. I was fine. It was.
I'm having a good time.
Yeah. And so I never really connected the dots. And then it got more and more secretive and stuff. And like, the thing that really got me was COVID, because all of a sudden we didn't have, touring stopped.
You're touring like as much as anybody.
Yeah,
and then the world stops and nobody's touring.
Yeah, nobody's working. Nobody's doing anything. It's not just a music thing. Like,
that's when everyone starts a podcast.
Yeah, I tried to start a podcast. I mean, I like sent an email about it, but I was too high. It was a great idea.
What was the idea?
It was a great idea. I can't say because I might still do it.
Okay, just tell me what's the idea. You can say.
No, I can't.
Why not?
Because someone might take it. It was a really good idea.
Oh God, I hate when people do this.
Yeah, well,
just tell me the fucking idea. I could use a better podcast idea than this.
I know you could. That's why I'm not telling
All right,
you, man.
so COVID shuts everybody down.
Mm-hmm. And then I'm at home with nothing to do for 2 years, and like financially I was okay, luckily,
because you had worked your ass off.
Yeah. And then so I'm just
which is pretty incredible to be in a touring band, works as hard as you guys did, not work for 2 years and be okay.
Yeah, for sure. Lucky as hell, because that wasn't the case for everybody, and I'm
fortunate more than lucky. You fucking earned it. You earned it. You guys put the work in, and that's why you made the money.
Yeah, I would accept that statement. We worked our ass off. But like, so then, we're at home now. Everyone's at home now, and it was like, it was just like vacation for 2 years. Just like drinking a bottle of tequila every day. There's a delivery guy that'll bring whatever I want to my house in whatever quantities, and it was just like, and it didn't feel sketchy because there wasn't supposed to be doing anything. Like wasn't missing work, and it was fun as hell. And
who would you hang out with?
My girlfriend, and friends around. Just some a pod of people that
you're super free. And it's like you did a bunch of coke, but you seem like you were probably like a classic alcoholic.
What do you mean?
Like alcohol was like, because coke and alcohol. So alcohol is like, it's like on this show we normally
it's like wake up and have a cocktail. I mean, it was just like yeah.
Because our show, like we more have drug addicts than alcoholics, and I feel like whenever we have an alcoholic, it's special. And like, because I also barely drank.
Yeah.
And I want to hear about the lifestyle. Of
no,
that.
it was. I don't know because cocaine and alcohol went hand in hand, and I didn't run out of cocaine, so I would never be like a sloppy. I mean, I'm sure it was, but
But you'd wake up and you'd do coke and booze at the same time.
Yeah, at some point in the day, like whenever it seemed appropriate, which is could be early, could be evening. I would try and be productive and be like, oh, we won't have a drink till later. But it was just, and that was, but then it would just be starting later and keep going on later. Like it was at a problem.
How did it become clear? Like, what were the signs? What were they seeing?
I don't know. I thought things weren't that bad, or I was lying to myself, or whatever. I mean, addicted people doing addicted type shit. Like, yeah.
I mean, I remember, luckily we weren't partying too hard the night before. I had just gotten home from tour, and my girlfriend at the time comes into the bedroom and says, "Hey, the guys are outside," and I was just like, "Oh shit!" Like, I knew exactly what it was, right?
How were you so sure of it?
Because there's no reason for them to be showing up at my house the day after a 2.5-week tour ended, and we all live in different states. There's only one reason they're there, not to say, "Hey, great job on tour, buddy." And in hindsight, hindsight is 20/20, and in hindsight, it was a lot worse than I thought it was. That's for sure. I blew through a lot of stop signs, so to speak, and they showed up with love, which is cool. I went outside. It was a nice day. We're all sitting on my deck, and they're like, "Hey, we're worried about you," and they came from a place of we're worried about you, we care about you, we love you, we're concerned you're gonna die, which was you can't argue with.
So denial, like, I didn't. Oh yeah, I think I was saying like
You were saying what a
wasn't
killer
concerned-
time you were having.
Yeah, it was super fun.
That you could play. That you were just like another
like,
dude on
yeah.
tour.
Yeah,
And it's like, what the fuck?
yeah, and I think what we were getting towards is like I was having a blast, and I wasn't really concerned if I were to die. Like I.
But
think,
how possible was your death? You weren't shooting heroin.
I don't
You're
know.
sniffing coke. You were drinking a lot.
A lot of cocaine and a lot of alcohol.
Okay, you could have died.
Like any night.
Right.
Um,
Heart attack.
yeah,
Fucking
totally.
Blackout.
Yeah, just like puke in my sleep, whatever.
Right.
But like and heart attack was probably pretty palpable. I was in a lot worse shape than this. But I wasn't really concerned with the fact that I might die. Like I think I was sort of like, yeah, rock and roll legacy. Like this would be cool. Like I don't know. I didn't give it much weight, but I think I would have been comfortable enough with like whatever legacy I had created, which is wild. But then, so when my band finally showed up, we talked about that, where my band shows up at my door, right? And they're like, "Dude, we're concerned," and at that point, it was clear to me, more so than, "Hey, I really have a problem." It was like, I can't like weasel out of this one. It's real, like something has to change, or else it's gonna get real bad.
But what changes between you're like, it's not that big a deal, and they show up? Like what clicks in your head?
Just my 4 best friends in the world being like, "Dude, we're calling it." It's like, just sorry, this is it. Like you fucked up enough. Like partially you fucked up enough. You're like ruining everything, and we're not gonna put up with it. But also like, we love you, and this is not okay. Like they came from a place of real concern and love. It wasn't like we're gonna kick you out of the band if you don't shape up.
But what you said at the lab was they were like, we don't like hanging out with you anymore.
Yeah, there was that. That was the part that really kind of eventually clicked. That's the thing that really hurt the most, is like when your 4 best friends say like, "Hey, bro, we don't want to spend any time around you anymore. Like we don't like being around you." That's the thing that really hit pretty hard. That hurts, enough. Or that morning, it hurt enough to be like, all right, it seems like this is not gonna work anymore, and so we talked a little about it, and so there's a lot of shame around it at that point, right? I'm like, okay, this is a bad scene, and
What's the shame like?
just like letting people down, sort of like hearing out loud that you're a shitty person.
Is that what you got from it, that you were a shitty person?
Because
you, I mean,
I
you
think
obviously,
they did enough research to know that that's not what you're supposed to say.
and you were, I mean, I think that must have been like some deep, like self-deprecating place that you were in, because you were obviously not a shitty person. they came to you because they loved you
Yeah.
and they wanted you to get better. And like, I guess you didn't get to live up to your rock and roll fantasy, and like they pulled the
Yeah,
plug.
there was some shame around the fact that, like, I felt like I failed. Not, and this is weird addict shit, but like I felt that I failed not as like it failed my band or whatever. I feel like I failed at doing drugs and alcohol. Like I failed at being functioning, you know, like which I thought I had. And like that sucked to hear, and I was like, shit. I was like, really. I remember being like, God damn it. My baseline was always, I got this. No matter how gnarly it was getting, I was like, I got this. And then to really finally hear or accept or feel I don't got this,
Right.
was like, that's when it was like, okay, it's time to call it. Essentially,
When I got fired from Katz's, like my cousin owned Katz's, half of Katz's, and he did a lot of drugs. And he was like, David, I don't know why you can't handle doing drugs. Like, he's like, he was so disappointed that I couldn't just do drugs like he could do drugs.
Yeah.
And I could never do drugs like that. I needed to do drugs every fucking day. And I was crashing and burning. Like, I was not functioning. And I any kind of like me pretending to function was obviously like total smoke and mirrors. I think you had a lot more functionality, but not as much as you wanted to have.
Yeah, there's an interesting thing that I've learned in my recovery, which is that I always said, this is like, when I got to rehab treatment, I think I like calling it treatment better than rehab these days, but when I got to treatment, my story was I like to party, and I like to party a little too much, or a lot too much, but I like to party, and it got the best of me, because this shit is addictive and bad for you. And so, I'm a good guy. I like to party. It got a little wild now, I have to stop now because it's dangerous, and I might die. And like people that care about me are telling me this. Now, eventually, I realized, and this is like literally a year and a half, 2 years into sobriety, I realized that that's kind of a bunch of bullshit that I was sort of feeding myself. It was the story I made up, and it was a convenient story. But then, the more I got into like recovery with people in AA and talking about this stuff and really getting down to it and like hearing from other people and sharing with my homies, I realized that and it came from the root. I don't know if it's the root or not, but the word, like, everyone says this is a disease, right? And I know it's a disease, but I never like that because
I don't like that phrase at all.
Yeah, I don't like it because it absolves me of personal responsibility. This shit's my fault as far as I'm concerned, And
I feel the same way.
So that's cool.
A disease is like Alzheimer's or cancer.
Yeah, and like but at the root of this word disease, dis-ease, right? I have that.
Me too.
I am uncomfortable in my own skin.
Me too.
And I started to think about this, and I realized I have been uncomfortable in my own skin since I was a fucking kid, and probably this is why I started drinking, and later doing drugs. Is like because it was my way of feeling comfortable or cool or taking the edge off, and like it wasn't just that I liked to party. It was like this is the thing that made me like less uncomfortable. And now what recovery and AA and stuff is teaching me is like, okay, well then there's a thing if you're uncomfortable, let's figure that out and get to the root of that and deal with that, and that's like why I say that so much of AA is like not about alcohol and drugs anymore. Once you stop doing that, it's about like it's a you sort of hear things like, well, my friend Orby said it's a spiritual solution to real life problems, and like that's what I'm learning about. It's like, okay, well, I've got a disease. I have an unease, and I have to figure that out, and that's what I'm learning about in recovery, which I think is so cool. Like
the spiritual solution to our problem.
Yeah.
And really it's a soul sickness.
Yeah.
Like it's a soul sickness that we have, and the only way to really fix a soul sickness is to get into a real soulful practice.
Yeah, and I think it's important, and I'm sure a lot of your listeners know, there's the whole like spiritual to me doesn't mean church. I'm spiritual, not religious. There's that old quote like religion is for people that believe in hell. Spirituality is for people that have been through hell.
Right.
I'm spiritual, man, and like it's so weird for me. I hate to admit it. Like old me would want to punch myself in the balls for saying like I sit around and talk to other adult males about
God.
my beliefs in God or like whatever, and it's wild.
So how soon after do you go to treatment that you start really digging into spiritual practices?
It was when I was there, for me, like I started doing the steps and the step, I like to think of it as almost kind of really simple. I sort of made it seemed complicated and it seemed like a weird fucking cult. And I was like, all right, this is weird. But then eventually realized like, no, this is actually cool. Like you're getting the keys to the kingdom. Like you're getting, AA is not a fucking weird cult that I thought it was. It's literally the cool kids club. It's like the keys to like the baddest ass motorcycle club. It's all the people you would have partied with that are smart enough to get out of it, or people love them enough to help them get out of it. It's the fucking cool kids. And so like step one, I never liked the word powerless. Never liked that because I still think I'm a powerful motherfucker, which is ego, whatever. Anyway, but there's also that other word, unmanageable. Hell
and
yeah,
you were fucking unmanageable.
I was unmanageable. I can get behind that, and it's not like you have to have both. It's and so that word works for me. Obviously, my shit was falling apart. Right, I'm supposed to be here. Step 2 and 3 start talking about the God stuff, and like I'm like an over analytical overthinker, and so I was like, man, I need to like make sure I'm right about this thing. And they're like, oh, you can make the doorknob to be God or whatever, or a group
Which
of drunks.
makes no sense.
Yeah, but also that's fine. Like, because for me,
group of drunks makes sense.
Yeah.
Doorknob doesn't make sense.
Well, here's my thing. It's like, okay, you're obviously like, you Anders are obviously fucking this up. Like, it's not going well, right? Like, so what if something else could help? And so like for me, the higher power is just anything but me.
Totally.
Right? And so at that point, yeah, it can be a fucking doorknob. Right? But it's like just anything but me. And like...
And you're saying it doesn't need to be bigger than you. It just needs to not be.
Yeah. It's just like something so I can be like, oh, look, there's a rainbow. That's cool. Look, whatever. But so for me, the big kicker was when I realized like, okay, I'm having trouble with the word God. And that was a big hang up for me and I realized that my problem was, so I live in Tennessee and I was really concerned that I would go back to Nashville and be in like an AA room in some church basement with everyone smoking cigarettes, my view of AA at the time. And I would say, well, God, God is helpful, God, whatever. And this fucking redneck across the circle in Tennessee would be like, yeah, brother, hell yeah, God. And that's not what I wanted. I didn't want him to think that his white-haired sky daddy is the same guy as my guy. And so I just added the word my in front of God, and then it all just opened up. Like it could be whatever the fuck I wanted. And like my God is cool as fuck. He's my friend. He's like funny.
How did you develop your God?
I don't know. Just started thinking about it and being like,
and it's very special to have that.
Something's looking out for me.
See, right? When I look at it, I would love to look at it like that. I just decided that it was everything.
Yeah.
It wasn't my God and it wasn't Sky Daddy. It was just like reality.
Yeah.
Like that's what and I like the idea of my God because like people talk to God in a way where they feel like God listens to them.
Yeah.
And I never get that feeling from what I do.
And I made this little pact. I was like, look, here's the deal, dude. And this is me. This is how I talk to my God. I'm like, hey, listen up, bro. I'll check in with you every day.
My God, who I choose to call dude.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, homie, I'll check in with you every day. And I'm not, and like, all I expect from you is like every once in a while, just show me some shit, and that's like, a rainbow, a bird flying over me at the right time. That's enough for me. And maybe I'm idiot, but who cares? It's it works for me, you know. And like honestly, if I'm struggling with something or like thinking about someone or praying because my dad is dying, like pretty much without fail, like a fucking eagle will fly across the sky at the right time, and I can just be like, thanks God.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah, thanks, homie. You know.
Is
And
your
like,
dad dying?
He's dead. He
Oh,
died
how did
like
he die?
last year. Old.
How old was he?
92.
And he just died.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Thanks. Yeah, I was sober, you know, like I was sober for that, which is amazing. You know, I showed up for my family and was like a helpful, like upstanding member of my family, and like helped my family through stuff, and like it's amazing.
And was the band better when you came back?
Musically or like what?
In every way. Was it not as good? You were better on coke?
No, I don't think so. I thought I was, but I was, you know, no. No, a lot of people actually were like, dude, you're playing so well. Like and you know what's weird? Our bass player's mom said she she comes to some shows. She likes the band. They're cool. And like, she was like, hey, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but like, she's like, I've seen a lot of shows, and like, it used to be like in those long jams, because I'm kind of the guy that leads these like extended jams. It's like the Dobro's often the like lead instrument in our band, and she was saying that she was like, I kind of you used to be really like losing me in like some of this stuff, and she's like, I've noticed recently that like you're playing like really makes, she's like, I can follow it or something. It was like, and she said it in a really cool way, and she was like sort of afraid of offending me, and I was like, no, that's amazing, because that's you know, I'm sure it was the same way in conversations or whatever. It was like I was a frantic scatterbrain motherfucker, and like now I can have a conversation, and that carries through to music too. But like, yeah, no, the music is killing it.
Do you miss any aspect of using or drinking in a rock and roll band? Or do you think it's just the natural progression to get sober and actually have clarity?
I miss, yeah, totally.
What do you miss?
I miss like, I don't know. I miss the like lawlessness of it. I miss,
Right.
I mean,
The
like,
renegade rock and roll shit.
like it was fun as hell, and just be like,
You're allowed to miss it.
yeah, and
That's
that's
all right.
totally, and I'm happy that it's not that way anymore. But like, the shit was fun, and I'm lucky I lived through it. I'm glad I lived through it. But like, you know, I get that feeling from other things, like, you know, just, you know, it sounds weird, but like recovery is fucking cool, and like I get that feeling, similar feeling when like, I mean, I've saved some people's lives too now, you know, and it's like my experience can help other people, and like that's, yeah, I don't know.
And you're in that, and you're in.
That's it sounds a little cliche.
No,
cheesy,
no,
but like
no.
Yeah, I fucking
No,
miss partying.
No, I miss aspects of it, and I love my sober life. Do you want to play our game before we go? The game is
turn
called.
the camera off.
Yeah, the game is called.
Uncle Touchy in
Yeah,
the
it's
hotel
it's
room.
called, I'm gonna no. We're not gonna play that game. Okay, it's called This or That. All right, it's not that fun. Grateful Dead or Allman Brothers?
Grateful Dead.
Hippie or Wook?
Hippie.
John or Paul?
Paul.
Interesting. Mushrooms or LSD?
LSD.
Brent or Keith?
Brent.
I don't know. I can't read my handwriting. I'm so fucking annoying. Fuck. Who's the organ player who played with? He was a really, really famous mythological kind of organ player. He wound up playing with Elton John on that record, The Union, but he played in all the LA bands. He was like a session guy in the 70s. You know what I'm talking about?
Tip of my tongue.
Silver-haired, long-haired.
Yeah.
Russell. Leon Russell.
Leon
okay.
Russell, yeah.
Okay, Leon Russell or Holly Bowling?
Oh, fuck. Holly, if you're listening, turn this off.
She's not listening. Maybe she is. You're going to go Leon Russell? You're a Leon Russell guy?
There's just something classic about that dude.
For sure.
Holly Bowling.
Okay, very good. Trey or Billy Strings?
Trey.
Yonder Mountain or Infamous String Dusters?
String Dusters.
Jerry Garcia or Bobby Weir?
Jerry.
Goose or Fish?
Fish.
Beard or Gibson?
Beard.
Coke or booze?
Coke. Well, fuck both.
Sailing or bluegrass?
Sailing.
Cigarettes or Zin?
Today's in.
Devin Allman or Dwayne Betts?
Dwayne.
Fiddle or banjo?
Fiddle.
All right, cool.
I was pretty quick with all my answers.
That's how it's meant to be done.
Yeah.
That's how it's meant to be done. Now, you got to play with Billy Strings. You made a song with him.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty sweet.
Yeah.
And he's like your little brother.
Yeah, he's my homie.
That's pretty cool. You talk recovery with Trey.
I have.
And what other? And you played with Bob Weir.
I have. Yeah. I played with.
What songs did you play with Bobby?
Cassidy and maybe something else.
See, Cassidy, I can live with. Does your stomach fall to the floor when Bobby sings a song like Mississippi Half Step? For me, I'm a sinner, right? And if I ever wind up in hell, it's just going to be Bobby in a poncho singing Mississippi Half Step to me. Because I love Mississippi Half Step, and Bobby sings it really badly.
I would much prefer to have Jerry sing it over Bobby or John Mayer. That's for sure.
Yeah, what the fuck is up with John Mayer singing Jerry songs like Stevie Ray Vaughan? What is that about? Why don't they have somebody else sing Sweetly?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
This is a hotbed of controversy for the jam band scene.
I don't know. Everyone seems to. Yeah.
Anders.
Yeah, Jerry was fucking cool, man. It's a delivery thing, man. It's just like music is about emotions, and that's what was so cool about that dude. Like, delivery, and like that's the whole thing. That's what's cool with Dobro and stuff is like, I feel like that instrument tugs at when played well. It's like it tugs at heartstrings, man, and that's what music is to me,
dude. Like today. And maybe I'm just geeking out because it was my thing. But, like, Matt plays that song, and you and Anders accompany him. Mm-hmm. And it was like a laser. It was like a laser of emotion and collaboration. Yeah. And then when you played that Katrina song with Anders, just so soulful.
In the green room especially, that was cool.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Wasn't it very magical?
I could tell you were like, you don't even know this. How are you doing this?
No, I'm a great musician. I'm a great musician.
I'm
a great musician.
Yeah. He was trying to pitch me his songs earlier.
Listen, Dopey Nation knows that I have one song that's meant to be.
Tell me about DopeyCon.
DopeyCon.
You have a con.
Oh yeah, October 4th.
Are you like God there? Do they like carry you in on a
I'm
big
like
chair?
Jerry.
Are they like?
No, I'm like serving sandwiches. I'm running around like carrying chairs.
How big is DopeyCon?
Like 230 people.
All right, that's a lot of people.
It's in a church on 28th Street and 9th Avenue. This year, some of our participants, it's going to be.
I'm not trying to make this a commercial. I'm really curious because you said it earlier, and I wanted to make fun of you. But I'm really curious. Now I want to know what
I'm like a little worried about DopeyCon this year, to be totally honest with you, because Hank Azaria, you know Hank Azaria?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
from The Simpsons. He'll be there. Jason Biggs will be there.
The best Hank Azaria thing ever was what's that show about? The baseball one.
Brockmire.
That show is so good. Anyway,
he'll be there. You should come play.
I would.
Would you come play to DopeyCon?
Yeah. When is it?
October 4th.
Maybe look at my calendar.
Wow.
But absolutely.
That would be next level if you came to DopeyCon.
I mean, sure. Why
play
not?
it a little bit.
Yeah.
That would be sick. I just want to
come hang.
Come hang at DopeyCon.
We're like friends now, which is annoying as fuck.
For you, it's annoying. For me, it's a pleasure. I was gonna tell you, I had last night, we're chilling and you show up and I'm like, I know that we're gonna be friends now. I could just tell. Like we fell in love last night and then I annoyed you today. Yeah. But I could tell that we're friends now.
Yeah, I know. It's
annoying.
And I'm not really auditioning new friends is the tough part. But
listen, I'm around.
We're friends now.
Well, I'm with you, and I thank you for doing the show.
I thank you.
Did you have fun?
Yes.
Did you get your socks?
Ooh, you're my best friend.
Did you lose socks?
You never gave me any socks.
I did. You left them in that fucking.
You never gave them to me. You gave them to Anders and the other guy.
No, I didn't.
You never gave me. And you gave some to Pickles.
Who's Pickles?
Pickles. Keith's kid.
Why do you call him Pickles?
Because Keith calls him Pickles.
He does?
Pickle. Maybe a singular pickle.
Amazing that Keith had a raccoon as a pet that he caught in his shopping cart.
Yeah.
That's really weird.
Yeah.
You think Keith's going to have the crazy dopey episode?
I hope so.
Listen, thank you for doing it. Thank you for being my new best friend and romancing me at Park City Song Summit. And maybe you'll come to DopeyCon. Do you want to hear who else? Do you know the comedian Ian Fidance?
I'm not sure I do.
He's funny. He's coming.
Mm-hmm.
This really very great meth addict comedian named Sam Miller from the Pacific Northwest
Still
is
on
coming.
meth? Like, is that his shtick?
No, he's sober, but he
Okay.
was a horrible drug addict.
Okay.
But you know Bob Forrest?
I'm not sure.
He was in
Not very well.
the old band Thelonious Monster. He was also in Celebrity Rehab. Did you ever see Celebrity Rehab with Dr. Drew and Sober House? He's a great old sober guy. He's like best friends with the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Cool.
Yeah, it's great.
That sounds fun.
He's very sober. He won't even take NyQuil if he has a cold. Will you take NyQuil if you have a cold?
Well, I take NyQuil if I have a cold. I don't really get colds, but I would maybe take like is that the same as ZQuil?
ZQuil is just to sleep.
Yeah, I don't.
You take ZQuil?
No, but I would. I'm not sure. I don't need to.
Do you? What do you mean you don't need? What do you take? Any sleep aids?
I sleep so well, dude. I'm so good at sleeping.
Bob Forrest questioned my sobriety when I told him I take NyQuil.
Yeah, well, whatever. It's your thing. That's what's so cool about recovery. Like,
You do your thing.
you do your thing and don't stress out what other people think. But like, I don't know. You just gotta, yeah. All right. Later.
Thanks, Anders.
We had a technical issue, so me and Anders are now on a Zoom to re-explore the nature of the moment that the band intervened when his girlfriend opens the door and the band comes in after Anders says that maybe his addiction wasn't that impactful on himself, his girlfriend, or the band. Anders, welcome back to the show.
Thanks. Thanks. Good. It sounds like we're revisiting a heavy part. This is great. Real great. Real excited about this. Thanks.
Would you rather talk about Bobby, the passing of Bob Weir? Would that be better? We could do both. We could do both.
Okay. Well, sure. See, here we are getting sidetracked already.
I think that you are deep in your recovery, and it's obviously very important to you. And that moment how important was that moment?
It was incredibly important. You know, like if we left off where my band shows up at my door, you know, that was the moment of reckoning for me. You know, I thought things weren't that bad, or I was lying to myself, or whatever. You know, I mean, addicted people doing addicted type shit. You know, like, yeah. I mean, I remember, you know, luckily we weren't partying too hard the night before. I'd just gotten home from tour, and my girlfriend at the time comes into the bedroom and says, "Hey, the guys are outside," and I was just like, "Oh shit!" Like, I knew exactly what it was, right?
How were you so sure of it?
Because there's no reason for them to be showing up at my house the day after a 2.5-week tour ended, and we all live in different states. There's only one reason they're there, not to say, "Hey, great job on tour, buddy." You know, and in hindsight, you know, hindsight is 20/20, and in hindsight, it was a lot worse than I thought it was. That's for sure. You know, I blew through a lot of stop signs, so to speak, and you know, they showed up with love, which is cool. You know, I went outside. It was a nice day. We're all sitting on my deck, and they're like, "Hey, we're worried about you," and they came from a place of we're worried about you, we care about you, we love you, we're concerned you're gonna die, which was you can't argue with that. I don't think I wanted to argue with that, but it wasn't like get your shit together or you're out of the band. It wasn't something like that. It was like, hey, we're your best friends, and this is like bad enough that we're really concerned that you're gonna die. Which that's enough to hear, you know. I mean, I think, I'll be honest with you, I like, you know, went outside, saw that they were there, realized what we were going to talk about, said, okay, I need a cup of coffee, went inside, like, ripped a huge gagger a blow and like went back outside to face the music. You know, does that tell you the state that I was in, that I needed help? Yeah.
Was that the final gagger?
No, wasn't.
Where was the final gagger, just out of curiosity?
Oh, God.
In the bathroom at treatment?
No, the airplane on the way.
It's reasonable.
Anyway, yeah. Yeah, but so the final gagger, great podcast. And so, you know, I was talking about this with someone recently about, which is kind of interesting, about there was, I remember, a big sense or a sense of relief that came over me when I realized that, like, it's over. You know, like this like I don't know what to call it, just this life that I was leading, this like drug alcohol fueled thing that I thought was awesome. I was having so much fun. For me, it certainly wasn't fun for anyone around me, but like I was scared, but I was also relieved to be like, okay, cool. Like, I don't know. It's really hard to describe, but
I have two questions that are like the same kind of question. Because it's like, when you say you didn't think it was that bad, but you knew they were at the door for this, and you knew it was going to be about this, like, how do you weigh that out in your head, you know, after the fact? If for you it wasn't that bad, and then at the same time you knew it was.
I think the best way to describe it is I just didn't care. And not caring is like not a way to go through life, right? But it was it was certainly easier. I just didn't care about me. Like I kind of maybe resigned myself to be like, yeah, I'm that story, you know, like I'm going down in flames, you know, better to burn out than fade away. Like all the rock and roll cliches, right? I was pretty much living that rock and roll cliche in a bluegrass band, but, you know, I've always felt pretty invincible my whole life, you know? And that's ridiculous, but also it was my reality. So I think my version of what was going on, like, wasn't the reality, you know? Like, in my head, everything was fine, but that's just not the way it was.
In hindsight, you could see that your vision was skewed. And it's kind of also, it's the same question, which is when you think back, right? This is, if you look back and you're like, I had so much fun, which you just said, but you've managed to cobble together years and years of recovery since that little period, then you knew it was more than fun. There, like, I think you, and I don't know you that well, and I've talked about you, we haven't talked in a long time, but when we did talk, we talked for a bunch of hours about this. I think you minimize that minute, and because the echoes of that minute have been years, and you're very invested in your recovery, and you help a ton of people in your recovery, and you're in long-term recovery. So, like, most people who wind up getting sober aren't just like, oh, it was really fun. Like, there's usually like, it was fun, but I fucked up a lot of shit kind of thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think so. You know, and I'm not sure if we talked about this in the original podcast, but like, I realized, and this is like years into sobriety, I realized this, like, I created my own story, my own narrative that, like, I just like to party, and I like to, and like, maybe I like to party a little too much, and that got the best of me. Too bad I have to stop because it's dangerous, right? So that's the story I sort of made up. Through recovery, which I think is a beautiful thing, I realized that is kind of a bullshit narrative that I made up myself, and that I actually like had an underlying anxiety, uncomfortableness with the world, like my whole life, and this whole story of like, yeah, I like to party, hey, fun guy, you know, like it wasn't just that. I was masking things and hiding things and doing all this stuff that's like internal stuff inside of me that I've had to work on. And I would assume we probably talked about that before, because it's like one of my big revelations in sobriety.
We definitely did, but I think that answers the question. I think that fills us in perfectly for what it's crazy, because what happened was it was something happened with, you remember I had the little recorder and I had the phone, and something went wrong with the little recorder. Maybe the batteries died at that moment. I remember and I missed this piece of the conversation. But I think that what we just said was better than the way we had said it the first time. Anyway, I think it's a lot of clarity.
Yeah, I don't remember. I was hammered.
Yeah, you remember nothing. You were doing a gagger of ketamine in the bathroom before.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, recovery is interesting. Like it keeps kind of revealing new things about me to me, and like, and that's super cool. You know, it's like I believe that like being in recovery gives people like a staggering advantage to life. Oh, you're frozen.
I am? God damn it. Hold on. Is that better? I don't know
You're
what
back.
the fuck is going on.
Hold on.
My connection and my emotions are unstable.
You're back.
So you're talking about what has recovery revealed to you about you lately?
Lately, it's a big question. Recovery consistently reveals my sort of blind spots, I think. You know, I am not like a Buddhist monk going through life and like butterflies land on my freaking shoulder every day because I'm in recovery. You know, like that's just, I would love it if I were that way, you know? But like, I still have my daily struggles about being lonely, or like what, you know, whatever it is, or like imposter syndrome artistically, or, you know, loneliness, or whatever it is. And I think that recovery gives me the opportunity to like deal with that better. And better may not be perfect, but it's good or good enough. You know, it's like there's one of the cool things I think about sobriety is like there's almost a benchmark to compare yourself to, which was a really low benchmark, you know? And so you learn all this stuff in these programs and these meetings, and so if I'm even just pausing to think about something rather than blurting it out, like I'm doing way better than I was before. And, you know, I can be like, my friends come to me for advice, you know, like beyond just me in my own life. Like I trust myself to sort of help me, if that makes any sense. But like people come to me for advice about things, and like, and that's like the version of myself that I want to be, you know, like I'm helpful and useful to my friends. It's fucking cool.
It's fantastic. And I bet you're lonely because you live on a farm by yourself, hundreds of miles away from other people. That can't be helpful. That can't be good.
It's not hundreds of miles away. Nashville's just right over there. It's very close.
You have to drive over like 3 mountain ranges to get a cup of sugar or something.
The grocery store is 10 minutes away, but it feels like 20 miles, which is nice. Yeah.
And
I'm accepting applications for farm help.
all right, so if anybody in the Dopey Nation is looking to be a farmhand on Anders' farm, you growing soybeans, weed, poppies? What do you got out there?
Cocoa and no, I don't.
What was the thing? We were talking about something crazy the night before we recorded with the ocean and your what was it? There was something about the ocean. It was some funny fucking thing. I forgot what it was. But what was I going to say? But you're here now, and Bob Weir died last week, and obviously the Grateful Dead had a tremendous impact on you. And you like, how did it impact you, Bobby's death?
It made me sad. He's the last of the singers in that band left. I processed a lot of this, I think, when Phil died, because I had more interaction with him on a human and musical level, both. And so the Bob thing was sad, but like I said, I feel like I sort of kind of went through this. I didn't know him. I didn't know him very well. Like we had played music once together and had a couple conversations. I think the last time I talked to him was at Billy's wedding, and I was talking to Trey about recovery, and I'm just telling the story because we're in a recovery conversation, but I was talking to Trey about recovery stuff, and he's so excited about it, like so pumped for me, and loves talking about this stuff. And Bobby came up to say hi to Trey, and Trey reintroduced me to Bobby and said, "Hey, Bobby, do you know Anders?" He said, "Oh yeah, we've met before," and then like kind of blew him off to keep our conversation going, which like 16-year-old me was super psyched about that. That felt really good. But that was the last time I spoke with Bobby. But the Grateful Dead, the music of the Grateful Dead is like the soundtrack to my life. I literally still listen to the Grateful Dead every day, most days. And
what's your favorite iteration?
I like late 70s Grateful Dead.
Let me ask you a really annoying question. Do you prefer the 80s or the 60s?
I don't know. I think I would take the 80s overall, just for like listenability, because I have a friend that pointed out to me that there's some really, really good. I just sort of blew off the 80s as like, oh, it's just cocaine fueled Grateful Dead, but it's like it's a huge decade for them of making great music, and like, but the 60s, like if you had to say, if you could go back and if you could go back and be at a show in one of those, I would pick the 60s just for the pure fearless psychedelia of the music. Like I love that shit.
And brightness and sting. The sting. I'm a 60s, late 60s Dead person, but I can't discount like Reckoning. Reckoning came out in like 80, right? The acoustic one, that acoustic record.
Yeah.
And I'm not a Brent and Bobby and all that ridiculous 10,000 pounds of steel or whatever that. I'm not
tons of steel. I'm a Brent guy. What can I say?
I have problems.
Yeah.
I'm a deep 60s Dead person.
You're a Pigpen guy. I get it. Yeah. I like Brent because Brent made Jerry happy.
Me too. Me too. I like that. Yeah. And I like him on the B3.
Yeah. But there's so many iterations of the Grateful Dead, and Bobby carried that on after Jerry died, which always felt a little weird to me but whatever. I'm not the it's not my choice. Like, I don't know, like call it. I'm just glad they didn't call it the Grateful Dead when they put John Mayer in the band. Like nothing against the guy, but he's not the Grateful Dead. He's Dead and Company is great, and I'm glad they did it. And I love that music was carried on towards for lots of other people.
Does it impact the Green Sky scene?
What?
Bobby's death.
I would think so. I mean, our fans are Deadheads through and through. I think a lot of there's parallels to the bands. I mean, I'm not saying we're like the Grateful Dead or anything, but it's like they were a band, and when there's when in the day and age when like there's all these, when it's like you have to be a person and you have to be a star and all this stuff, the Grateful Dead weren't that. They were just a bunch of guys making music together that was a band. And I love that about them, multiple singers, multiple songwriters, multiple people to carry moments. That's, to me, that's where the similarities are in Green Sky. And I think, I sort of feel like eventually Bob's death will probably hit me harder than it has since it happened. I've been dealing with some of my own stuff, like my mom was sick, like things like that, and it was anyway.
He died the day after my father-in-law died. So, and my wife is a big Deadhead, but she didn't even mention it, obviously, because the death of her dad has been so just overwhelming. And it's I talked a lot of shit about Bobby that I feel a little bit guilty about now, and I knew that would happen. I knew that he would die, and I would feel a little guilty about all the shit I talked about Bobby, but whatever.
Me too.
All right.
But also, final thought, I love the stuff that's getting shared around the internet, like his take on death. Have you seen some of that stuff? It's so cool. Just like, oh yeah, he's like not afraid to die, but also like it's just the next phase of life. Like I assuming he really believed that, that's so cool. I wish I could be like that. I have no idea.
Maybe you will be, though. You're still a young whippersnapper.
Okay. I'll take it.